All right, I'm joined by Dr. Casey Schack, and we're going to get an update. We've talked to her before about kind of a little bit of her journey of starting a clinic, kind of making this big leap, and
Yes.
that's what I really remember it as, Casey. Like,
Yep.
remember the
Re
conversations we had where it was like, I want to do this. I've been wanting to do this for
Right.
years, but I don't know that I can. Just give people a little bit of background of where you were and that thought process of like, man, I've been working for people for a long time, but maybe I should
Sure.
do my own thing.
Yes, it just, I was blessed enough to be, kind of in this area where I am now for a period of time, and I had, had made some great connections with other, peers, healthcare workers, physicians, and I was a director of a home care agency for a while. And, I just kind of was like, I really why can't I do something similar on my own? I loved what I did. I loved who I worked with, but I was ready to take the leap. I was really scared. I was like, is this
Mhm.
something I should really be doing? And that's when I contacted you. And I was so grateful. I think you wrote me back right away, and we got on the phone, and you were very supportive. And it's one of those things that you just have to kind of go out there and be yourself. And I think that's one of the things too that you were saying, even with referral sources or getting the clients, I was like, what if no one wants to come to
No,
see
you're
me? What's
right.
gonna happen?
Probably the biggest fear that everyone has is like, if I
Yes,
go do this and it doesn't work, that then what, right?
right,
Like,
then what, you know?
right?
So, I'm so glad I did it. It's, my business is doing well. I mean, I'm, full. I'm trying to hire somebody, but that's always hard too. But it would be nice to find someone to help me a little bit. So that's the next stage. So
Isn't that a
that's
cool problem to
to be
have though? Like,
continued, right?
did you ever
Yes,
think you were
exactly.
like, I don't know that did you go into that thinking right away you were going to hire somebody?
No, not at all, but I find that there's this need around here, and there's so much I wanna do and help people with, and, I really specialize really in the older adult population, but I've now become really big with this it's really wellness, it's the longevity,
Mhm.
people wanna be
Yeah.
healthy, so, I see people who are, could be in their 40s up until 100, I had a 103-year-old,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, so, but there's just so much that we can offer people and for whether it's, after, someone had a stroke in their home or again, people want to live, they are living longer and they want to live a better quality of life. And I think that's where we all come in and can really help. And when you're able to provide services for a longer period of time, like I was saying, even like with me with working out myself, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
you know, yes, it's nice to see someone twice a week for 4 weeks, but you're really making the changes in people's lives a little when you're there a little bit longer and the consistency, you know?
Absolutely. Well,
So
that's and that's an interesting concept. One of the things that we always consider is, sometimes we see these big chain physical therapies and all these hospitals and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, are there enough patients out there? And the research, interestingly enough, says that only about like 7, maybe 10% of people who need physical therapy or rehabilitation actually get it.
yep.
So that 90% of the people are not getting it. And I think you're a living testament to that, it's there, but you didn't do it through calling on doctors and bringing donuts to doctors and things like that. How
No.
did it work?
Yeah, so I remember in the coaches club, I think I brought that up. That was one of my Q&As one of the months or, saying, what do I do? Do I go and, bother these physicians? They're so I mean, I know how busy that I am and how they are and that, and the best advice I got was just be yourself, take a deep breath and go see the clients you have, work on the word of mouth. Of course, certainly I did reach out to a couple physicians that I had a nice relationship with. So
Mhm.
I went to
They said,
those.
"Hey, this is who."
Exactly. Just kind of gave them, even if it was calling just the office and saying, hi, it's Casey. I just want to let you guys know that I am on my own. If there's anything I can help you with, like I'm here,
Oh, I
not
love
like
that.
hounding and doing all, more or less like how can I help you guys with your clients? And believe it or not, I have a couple physicians who, are they're thankful for me because, I'm out there with their clients and giving them good feedback. And then next thing you know, if those clients go back, I don't even have to see these doctors anymore. The
Right.
clients are telling the doctors, "Oh, I see Casey." And so it's just again being yourself and if you're helping people and doing the right thing, it just will show. And, so
That's
I've been fortunately with that, so
That's so cool.
yeah.
Tell me how this, I always, what we do as performance physical therapists or rehab providers is important work. But with that said, though, this kind of impacts all areas of life. Tell me what taking that leap, having the support around you from, whether it's coaches club, from conversations that you had, but tell me what impact this has had on your family and the example that you think this might be doing for your girls.
Well, I mean, they've always been my biggest cheerleaders, even when I went back and got my doctorate. And I think I'm so happy that I can kind of do those things and show that you can, even though it's not easy, you can do the
Mhm.
things you want. They see the passion that I have for what I do, and that it's work,
Right.
but when they see that it's successful, they're just excited for me. And even today I was saying how we were going to be talking because they know about you. It's funny,
That's
you
so
know,
funny.
and they're like, "Oh, have fun, mom,"
Yeah.
and they see how excited I am. And I think it makes them want to kind of do similar things, whether it's in school or sports. And they know that if they put the effort in, that usually it pays off. I mean, it's not always
It doesn't
perfect,
always,
and
but
there's
yeah.
ups and
Right.
downs, of course, but I try to say, do the best you can, and things will work out. Whether it might not be right away, but if you can put the effort in.
That's great. So let's talk about, let's just recap your path, and I want to get your advice for all these people who might be at varying stages. So
Mhm.
you went from working for others to seeing a few people on the side, and I think that maybe gave you a little confidence that, hey,
Yes,
there is something here. People do like me. People do
yes,
like this. And I
yes,
think that's a recommended step, right? Like,
yes.
let's do something small. You don't have to take a big leap. But then there's ultimately the, I'm going to give up my security of my job, and I want to do this. So what is your advice for people who are in these various stages of thinking about this, of what their career could be?
Yeah, so I that definitely was like the first step was trying to find maybe clients who kind of are outside that window of what you're doing so you don't feel like, ooh, it's a little, kind of stepping on anyone's toes, or,
Right.
kind of. And because that really did build my confidence, because once you, like you said, you have clients who are getting better, who like you, and then all of a sudden someone else is calling you, it just says, okay, I can do this. If I can get a couple people to start, I think that was definitely the biggest thing for me. I mean, kind of doing your research around where you live. I know every area is different, but
Sure.
like you said, there is this need. There certainly is around where I am. I also found too, like it's scary. Like I don't have a facility that I work out of, so I go into people's
Mhm.
homes. And I think the other recommendation was make sure your overhead's not that
Right.
high at first.
Right.
That's kind of always was my safety net, was okay, well, I don't have rent, or, so I bring my equipment, which, between Amazon and all sorts of places, you can
Yeah.
get some great deals, get some equipment, and you need a blood pressure cuff, whatever, and then go to see people first and kind of build that rapport. And then, maybe jump into a bigger, especially if you're by yourself,
Right.
that's how I did it. So I was a little less nervous, said, okay, well, worst case scenario, you know,
Yeah, go get another job somewhere too, right?
right,
Like, I mean, worst case
right,
scenario, you didn't burn any bridges in the process,
right.
you're not,
Yep,
and so, yeah, you just, I always say, what's the worst case scenario? That's one of the
yep,
things
right.
that, can encourage people, is like, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is if you don't, sign a 3-year, $2,000, $3,000 a month lease. If you don't do that, then there's really, the only worst case scenario is you do it for a while and you go back to what you were doing,
Yep.
if you didn't. So, well, you are a great example of an awesome professional
Oh, thank
who
you.
is living their dreams and changing people's lives. So
Yes, yes,
I couldn't
right.
be more proud and so glad to have you today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was great.